Hey, Walter, how's it going? It's good to see you.
So Han, I was recently made aware of this legendary concept called tea drunk. First of all, is this a real thing?
It is absolutely a real thing.
Second of all, can you get me tea drunk with my friends?
I'm going to do my best.
Here we go.
Liz China Teahouse, Sohan, you're going to give us a guided tour of all things tea with the goal of getting tea drunk.
With the goal of getting tea drunk. Okay, cool. First, I'm gonna start right at the beginning. What is tea? That sounds like it should be pretty obvious, but it's not obvious because we use the word tea in America to talk about all kinds of things that aren't tea. Ginger tea, hibiscus tea, chamomile tea, chrysanthemum tea. None of those are technically tea. Those are all tisanes. So first off, tea is the name of one particular plant, the way that coffee is a plant, tobacco is a plant. Tea is a plant, just one. So what is tea? Green tea is tea. Black tea is tea, oolong pu'er, white tea, yellow tea. All those are from the same plant and they're processed in different ways. And that's important to know because it's just like if you're tasting whiskey, you're not going to taste wine in the same session that you're tasting whiskey and be comparing them. You can't, there's no basis for comparison. So I'm not like a snob about the word. I won't be like, you mean chamomile tisane, which is technically what you call an herbal tea. As long as people know that there is in fact a plant called tea so that you can understand and build a culture around it.
Right now, we're going to dive into whatever you have
Getting tea drunk. We're here to get tea drunk. Okay.
Yes.
So, tea, like whiskey or wine or cheese or beer, is very, very complex. And if you take that tea and you do one infusion or two infusions like we do in the West, then all of those flavors and fragrances kind of come out at the same time and you can't distinguish them. And when we take the tea and do it in this style, this is called gongfu cha. This is the traditional Chinese tea service that we think and Chinese people think is the best way to make Chinese tea. The art of gongfu cha are learning to control the dosage, the temperature, and the time. I'm going to control the dosage by using a small vessel. It gives me a lot of control. That's why all these little teapots and gaiwans are so little.
Right now, that's just water, right?
Just water. I'm just waking up the vessels by heating them up. You wake up the tea by rinsing it. You wake up the water by boiling it. So everything has to be woken up first.
What does that mean?
In Chinese culture, like things have qi, and we're going to talk about that a lot because that's what tea drunk really is the feeling the qi of the tea. And in the West, this is kind of this woo-woo, like new age concept, but in China, it's just the way the world works. It's like the weather for them. Heating up the vessels is the same reason that you heat up a pan before you put food in it. Tea drunk is not something that you can experience by making like 20 gallons of Lipton and drinking it. It doesn't work that way. Unlike, you could, for example, drink a handle of Southern Comfort and you will still get alcohol drunk.
Yeah, you get drunk.
You get the worst kind of drunk, you know. But it's not like that for tea. Bad quality tea, you won't feel anything. It just won't do it. So if you've been drinking tea your whole life, you've never felt anything like this, well, that's probably why. Because only good quality tea is going to do it. And you don't have to make it this way, but you will definitely facilitate the process of feeling the tea when you make it this way. It will taste the best, it will smell the best, and it will feel the best when we use this technique and this process. Western food cultures like wine culture or whiskey culture or coffee culture where there's this huge emphasis on the taste and the smell and there's these flavor wheels and you get these extremely nuanced tasting notes. It's all about like a sommelier will like go at length about the taste and the smell. Those are important, those are good. What's really important about Chinese tea is the way it makes you feel. And those on the deeper levels of tea appreciation, that's what it really becomes about. And that's what you're feeling when you feel the tea, is the qi of the tea. That means breath in Chinese.
So independent of the smell and the taste, the tea is going to make you feel differently.
Is the idea. I'm starting y'all off with Taiping Hokui. This is my favorite green tea. I'll let y'all smell it. This is a very fancy green tea. This is one of the fanciest teas that we sell. This is from Anhui province.
It's really good.
This is the green tea with the longest leaves in all of the world of green tea. Green tea leaves are usually like this. Right? The name Taiping Hokui means Great Peace Monkey Chief.
Hell yeah.
This, by the way, is my tea pet. Their only purpose is to pour water and the first rinse of tea on. So now we are going to drink the tea. So you're going to smell first, then you're going to slurp it as you sip it.
So show me the aggressiveness of the slurp we should be doing here.
It's really, you know, it's a style choice, but here, I'll do mine.
Okay.
Fairly aggressive.
Yeah.
But restrained. Getting tea drunk is not like getting alcohol drunk. It's different. Not necessarily slower. You can feel it right away. It is more subtle. It definitely is not something that you'll ever be impaired by. And it's different for every tea. Some teas make you feel this way and some teas make you feel that way. Actually, I'm not going to tell you what I think about them. I want y'all to have your naive, not naive in like a bad way.
It is
like
naive. Well, at least for two of us.
Completely uninfluenced experience of this tea. I'll leave it at different teas make you feel different ways. And we take that when we're serving tea, we take that into account, especially if we're serving tea at a party. You're trying to get people wound up, trying to get people to dance, trying to get people to chill down and settle down.
So you're saying there's
a
tea you would serve to get people rowdy?
Oh yeah. There's more than one.
Wow.
We'll drink one of those. We've got one of those on the list.
All right. All right.
Without any sort of negative context, it feels medicinal. It feels like it's good for you.
Good. Tea occupies a place that is somewhere in between food, drug, and medicine. That's a great way to think about tea in Chinese culture. So when we say tea drunk, what does that mean? There's, from like a chemical perspective, here are the chemicals in tea that we consider to be like psychoactive, right? So you've got stimulation from caffeine, you've got focus from L-theanine, you've got euphoric vibes from theobromine, and then you have EGCG, epigallocatechin-3 gallate, which is anxiolytic, so anti-anxiety, so calming.
So at this point, I feel like I am probably a little bit more calm.
Yes.
Yeah, I just feel a little bit more settled.
Calm, and I also feel more alert, a little bit like livened and awake.
Very much aware of the cars. You're a beta.
This episode is sponsored by Trade Coffee. Trade Coffee is that amazing, was it a service? Was it a program? Was it a plugin? So all of us like to explore what's going on in whiskey. When it comes to coffee, this is by far the most convenient and effective ways of exploring coffee. Trade Coffee exists to connect you with the freshest, best tasting coffee you've ever had. These are the most interesting roasters in the US, and they are selecting those roasters based on your preferences whenever you do one of these short coffee quiz things. So right now we're at the very end of what we had in the Reanimator, and this was the coffee that inspired Richard's cocktail, which is freaking great. It's an original thing he made. It's linked down in the description below. All you need to do is go to drinktrade.com/whiskeytribe for a total of $30 off your first order of coffee plus free shipping. Dan, you want me to sploosh you?
I would love a sploosh.
Smell that, Dan. You know what that smells like?
Alpha waves.
My alpha waves are rock hard.
The reason that I distinguish between tea and the pharmacological effects of tea is because I can feel the chi of a tea when I smell the hot, wet leaves, or as soon as it touches my lips. And again, we're getting in this realm of it's not super measurable because you feel something is very subjective. A good way to feel it is to be very focused on your body when you're drinking the tea. So right now what you can do is just sit and breathe and just be in your body and just feel the way that you feel. There's a couple of different ways that the chi of tea manifests in the body. We can kind of do it with this next tea. This is pu'er tea. Pu'er tea was traded for horses on an ancient trade route called the Cha Ma Gu Dao, the ancient tea horse road. And so this is an ancient trade that's been going on for thousands of years. This is what it looks like when you have it unwrapped. It's kind of like Death Star mode right now because we've been drinking this one and selling it. And you can see there's a divot here in the back. You want to take off kind of a lateral chunk here.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, you don't slice it like a pie. You lift up.
Yeah. So I'm going to go, this I will rinse. Full boiling water. It's from 2013. Pu'er is aged, just like whiskey is aged. This cake of pu'er is aging in my possession.
So already that gave up so much more color than the green tea did, just in a few moments in the water.
And that's from the age. If we were drinking this in 2013, it would have been more similar in color to the Taiping Hokui. It would have been green with a little bit of gold. Now, it's, it's 9 years later, it's got this very amber hue.
Yeah, it's almost whiskey colored.
Yep.
I'm so used to living in that world of flavors that I keep jumping to, okay, what does this smell and taste like so I can describe it to people? And when your approach is like, that's not really the point.
Absolutely. And that's why, and like Sheng Pu'er doesn't have lots of distinct tasting notes. It just tastes like it tastes. These are more sensations than they are flavors. Where do you feel the tea in your body? Maybe you feel nothing, and that's okay. But if you feel something, that's the cha chi, the chi of the tea that you feel, the somatic cha chi that you feel in your body.
Feel it in my arms.
There you go.
It's coming.
Yeah, there you go.
Mine's definitely in my head.
in your head. I got it in my head too.
Yeah.
Follow the tea through that whole cascade, from the nose to the mouth to the throat to the body, and then turn your attention to your stream of consciousness, to your mind itself. Does it remind you of anything? Does it evoke anything for you? Does a memory come up?
It reminds me of, I don't know why, because we weren't drinking tea, but like my grandma's old lake house. And it was just like this cabin in the woods kind of a place. I don't know why, but I just keep seeing that.
Yo, everybody is reminded of their grandparents when they drink pu'er.
Really?
When I teach this class, like I'll have 5 people in the class and we write these down. We don't talk about them like we do here because we don't want to influence each other. We go through a whole worksheet, we write these down, and at the end we share. And like 3 of the 5 people are saying something about their grandparents.
Wow.
For pu'er. But it's not necessarily the taste and the smell that are evoking those memories, those experiences. It's something that is part of the tea. When we say tea drunk, it's not just feeling high or feeling drunk. It is that. It is that feeling of being high on tea. But there's a lot more nuance to it, where there is these things that are evocative or changing your mood, stimulating.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to use a word that's not a tasting note, I'd say this tea, even though I've never had it before, it feels more nostalgic than the other tea.
That's exactly, that's what we're talking about. The word in Chinese is cha zui, tea drunk, is what that literally translates to. But as you can see, it's a lot more than that. It's much more about the personality of the tea and how that manifests in your subjective experience.
Yeah.
Whiskey does that too. Whiskey makes people feel things. A good whiskey evokes sensations and feelings in you. Beyond just the chemical alcohol in your bloodstream, intoxicating you, there are feelings that are associated with the smells and the tastes and the chi of the whiskey. This is Amanita.
Amanita.
Hongyin, Hongyin, which means Amanita, which is like the Mario mushroom, Amanita muscaria.
Yeah.
It's named after that. All right, this is oolong, partially oxidized. How do you feel?
I feel like this is the one that I would fight somebody after. This is
So drunk.
well, no, then be good at it.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah.
This is called Gamma Ray. This is a red tea. My wife calls this carnival ride tea. This is some rowdy tea. What this is purple tea. So, how are you feeling?
So I think alcohol, it hits you more in here. I'm gonna back off what I said about being less inhibited, because I do feel a little bit sillier as time goes on. But it's less here and more just in here.
Yeah, it's more of like a playful,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can only report on what we're feeling specifically, but you're gonna have a lot more experience watching people having a lot of teas, basically get to this place of tea drunk.
You definitely get similar experiences from person to person, and they even can be corroborated for a given tea, like we're talking about with the experience with the field or with grandparents, etc. And you actually had a family vibe on that same tea. The thing that people experience the most is either kind of like silly euphoria or like a body feeling. That's what people really remark on. They're like, I feel like I just took MDMA and I'm just coming up. They're like, I feel something in my body. People expect to be stimulated. People expect to have energy and be stimulated, because that's what caffeine, everyone knows about caffeine. What they don't expect is all of this other stuff. And then another thing that people report a lot is a change in their vision. With colors getting a little bit more saturated. People will sit here and they'll drink tea for like 2 or 3 hours, and then they go outside into the sunlight, and they're like, that's when they like really notice the change in their visual perspective.
So what we are experiencing and describing, that tracks with what most people experience when it comes to tea drunk.
Absolutely. Your experiences are well within range for like what people normally experience. But the thing about that cha zui, tea drunk, is that you don't have to imagine it. You know what I mean? It's palpable enough, it's present enough that you don't have to go to extreme lengths to make yourself feel something. And I don't want people to make themselves feel something. I want people to be receptive.
Yeah.
And the process of smelling and tasting are not distinct from feeling. They're all the same thing. It's one continuum. That's why when we do that cascade method, we start with smelling, we start with tasting, and then we go to where does it go from there. Look at this bad boy. That's
a chonker.
This is shu pu'er, and this is not from a pressed cake like the ones we've been drinking.
Okay.
This is from a yuan sheng tuo, which is a very, very artisan style of shu pu'er fermentation. It involves fermenting the tea in like a pile that doesn't get turned. Normally, when you ferment pu'er, it gets fermented in a pile that you turn like compost. When someone comes to the Teahouse for the first time and they're trying to pick a tea, I ask them what kind of stuff they like, and if they say whiskey, I give them pu'er. That is the deal. That, or I give them like a smoked tea. If they're like really into the peaty whiskeys, then I'll give them the smoked tea. We have teas that are both fermented and smoked, and definitely really feel into your body for this one. The vibe is very different from the other teas that we've had today.
Don't want to fight anymore.
Thank you for the fancy teas. One day I will realize the significance of what you poured us. The only thing I know right now, it was delicious, amazing. So if people want to learn more about you, West China Teahouse, what you have going on?
We've got our YouTube channel, Teahouse Ghost. You can go visit us. We've been making that show for like 6 years now. We have 20-something episodes. We keep making new content. If you want to read about these teas specifically, or buy these teas specifically, or these tea wares, go to westchinatea.com. Classes, online classes, and physical classes.
The tea drunk question, I think, is there a difference pre-tea to post-tea? Yeah, it's less intense.
Yes.
Yeah, there's definitely a shift, a change.
Yeah.
And it's not alcohol drunk per se, but there are some commonalities.
It's actually a lot more like being high.
I didn't want to say anything, but
That's just
I mean,
the
it
facts.
is YouTube, but